Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. So we are going to continue with our Guild Wars 2 story playthrough, and we're on the level 50 portion of the core personal story. And this is the portion where we have chosen a race that we're going to assist in an effort or that we're going to build a relationship with, which clearly is going to end up primarily consisting of us assisting them with something. In an effort to bring them on board in the fight against the Elder Dragons. And we're doing this on behalf of the Vigil, right? Now, this wouldn't look really that different if we had joined the Priory or the Order of Whispers. We would still be doing the same thing at level 50, which is bringing a race on board. It would be on behalf of the Priory or the Order of Whispers instead of the Vigil. And our choices would not be different in terms of the races. Those are dictated by our race as a player character versus anything to do with the orders or anything like that. The races that we had to choose from as a human were Hylek, Skritt, or Quaggan, and so I chose Skritt. Now, Skritt is actually like a very fast playthrough, so this might end up being one video when all said and done. It just does not take long to advance through the level 50 story.
I have no sympathy for
When
this
Skritt is your choice. That is not why I chose them,
You,
however.
tall one.
Beat them
It's
to death
good
with
you're
a
here.
spoon.
This way, I will show you what we found.
It better not be another junk pile. I know you, Skritt. You'll make a fuss over broken glass.
No. Much more interesting. You'll see. Follow. Come, follow. We found this. We show you.
This is about, what is normal for Skritt.
Yes.
And they have like this rudimentary engineering. Like, we don't know what this machine is, but this is like the kind of thing you would commonly find in a Skritt area. So the Skritt have something to show us, something that they found while looking for shinies, and they want to, which is what they call, they scavenge and they hoard. And so while scavenging for things to hoard, they found these.
You say you found a room full of these.
Shikik found many. Deep down in a cave. Going back to get more.
Going back for more? That's insane.
No choice. We need goods to trade. Need to trade to feed our young. That or starve. Evil creatures, help, save
So
our
we
friends.
discover that what they actually found in that underground, cave or whatever it was that they discovered these in, are eggs for destroyers, which are minions of the Elder Dragon. Oh my gosh, I just totally spaced it out. I legit wonder if I have like early onset dementia. Like, that's a very frightening thing to think about, really. Just the same, Primordius is the name that I was trying to remember. So these are minions of Primordius, and that was the reason that I chose the Skritt as an option. Now, because I think the Primordius thing is interesting, and it's a reach back to Guild Wars 1. And not every reach back to Guild Wars 1 is negatives. Unfortunately, sometimes I think the studio uses the first Guild Wars game as like a crutch to kind of, generate goodwill on the part of players and stuff. And we'll really, when we start getting into the expansions, particularly Path of Fire, that we can have like a long conversation about that. But the Destroyers feature prominently in the last expansion of Guild Wars 1, and was really, they were the introduction to the Elder Dragons back in the first Guild Wars game. And that, for me, is what makes this interesting. Now, they aren't the only race that would have taken us away from Zaitan and towards another dragon. The Quaggan would have also done that because we would have been looking at minions at Jormak.
Seen these creatures before, yes. In the deeps. We fled long ago. Now they come closer to the surface. Found us. They must have followed our scouts. Found our city. Now they come, all teeth and death. They will return until we die. Or they do.
Destroyers. Nasty business. These creatures are minions of the dragon known as Primordus. Vigil records say a group of heroes drove back that dragon's forces long ago. Not that youth today care about history. I missed that fight, but I won't miss this one.
Look at this artifact. It looks like an egg of some kind. A destroyer egg. Is that possible?
Yes, yes. Shikik found that one in room 4 just like it. Many just like it. Shikik went back to bring more, but she has not returned. Tor thinks we can make bomb to kill the destroyers. Wants to steal bomb powder from the centaurs for explosion.
Hard choice. Look into these eggs and find the lost Skritt, or get powder for a bomb to fight the destroyers. Crusader, I'll leave this one up to you. Those creatures are certainly stubborn. Dedicated, I mean. I may not like them, but I can admire that.
Oh, well, I mean, I appreciate your open-mindedness there, Porgal. Okay, so we have a choice between going to rescue this little Skritt who went off to get more of these eggs and stealing gunpowder from the centaurs so that we can use that gunpowder to battle these destroyers. So I know definitely kill Nest and rock bug mama. I know which one that I prefer. I would rather do the rescue. Not that either one of these is a particular, like, either one of these stories is better than the other. But in my head, it just makes more sense that the Skritt do the stealing. That is kind of their thing. I'll let them get the black powder. I'm not a thief. I don't know. I guess if we were playing thief, then maybe we would, kind of flip that on its head. But we'll go with the rescue. We'll let the Skritt handle the whole acquiring gunpowder thing. So let's charge right ahead on that. So we're in a no mount area here because there's actually the end of a jumping puzzle is like right up here. And so thus I was able to get on it for a second. Thus the no mounts. They don't want people bypassing the jumping puzzle. There are some jumping puzzles where you can have your mounts. It just varies from. Same thing with gliding. Some jumping puzzles you can glide, some you cannot. It does feel, however, sometimes like it's a little arbitrary, which ones are which and like what you can do where. I can see a scenario where, like, if I had been game director at the time, I probably would have just turned off gliding for all jumping puzzles. And then when mounts rolled around, I probably would have just turned off mounts for all jumping puzzles. So the fact that they made a decision on which ones they were gonna, roll with, is kind of an interesting thing. I've forgotten where we're going here. So this whole map, a large portion of the map, and this whole region of this map are interesting in that they probably come closest to the original intent of Guild Wars 2 when Guild Wars 2 was being developed, which was that based on the participation of the players and the choices of the players, that it would have widespread impact over large portions of the game. So all this can be under Centaur control or under, who are these folks? Seraph? Under Seraph control, depending on whether or not people do the events and pursue the meta and so forth. And it culminates in a meta event, which essentially looks a lot like the tutorial instance as a human, where you have a Centaur champion. For the meta event, he's of legendary. Oh man, I can't resist. Legendary strength, and he summons, an elemental of sorts, and You know, I mean, there's a bit more to it in the meta event versus, um, you know, the tutorial where it's obviously extremely simple. And calling it a tutorial is a bit generous, isn't it? But the opening sequence there. But ultimately, more or less, still kind of the same thing. It takes place back up in there.
The Skritt may be vermin, but nothing deserves to suffer this kind of destruction.
Well, and our whole thing is fighting the dragon. So there's also that, Forgal. Like, one way or the other, like, this is an opportunity to try and stick it to the dragons. Oh, look what I did. So if you bump into these eggs, that's what'll happen to you. And if I'm not mistaken, some of them will also cause additional destroyers to spawn. In that sense, it's a mechanic that closely parallels. All right, so looking for shinies, and hey, man, like this isn't where you want to be. So now we're gonna get them out of here. A mechanic that is exceptionally similar, basically the same thing as one of the Twilight Arbor paths. I actually don't remember which one, to be honest with you. Where there's a spider room, and if you touch the spider eggs, then it will, you know, proc more spiders. These days, like, there's kind of like a, you know, that's with power creep and, you know, with folks' familiarity with it. That's not really like a thing that people worry about anymore. But I do remember, like, you know, early in the game's existence when, you know, I was first learning some of the dungeon paths and stuff. That was a big deal. Like, you'd 100% get kicked from a party if you, you know, messed around with the spider eggs. I think these days the strat is just to bust them all before, like, a little cinematic really prompts things, and that way they won't spawn any spiders. So kind of a different approach. What are you guys fighting? You fighting that grub? Why? Or is Forgal just like randomly break and destroy your eggs? That's not it, like. Let's just get through this, Forgal. Let's not make this harder than it has to be. Forgal's over here being like maximum effort. Look, fighting all the grubs. Leave the grubs alone. What did the grub do to you? These oozes, though, do need to be eliminated, because unlike the grubs, who are neutral, the oozes will always attack. I do like really enjoy that tiny bit of dialogue from that Skritt. I really enjoy that. Poor Kataka is gone. All right, well then let's get going, man. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do? Oh, yep, that one did spawn another crabling. I really should watch where I'm going. Alright, this is the way. Let's get out of here. No more shenanigans. What are you guys doing? Crazy Skritt? Alright. So we got these dudes kind of blocking our ability to get out of here.
Feel the fury.
Thank you for saving us. We were trapped. These eggs are horrible.
Don't worry. We'll see that they're all killed, along with their queen. Destroyer Queen. Dragon minions shouldn't be able to reproduce. How is this possible?
Two possibilities. Could be a creature that was pregnant when she was corrupted, or this queen might be a kind of minion we've never seen before.
I don't like either option. We have to take this creature out before she makes more eggs.
We'll stand with you and fight. We know these things from the deeps. Know their cruelty. Come, meet me back at the village. Much to do.
Alright, let's do it. Let's figure out what we gotta do so we can take care of this whole Destroyer Queen business. And it does raise an interesting question there in that dialogue. And I'm glad I hadn't said anything about it yet because it had crossed my mind. And I had forgotten that they actually address it through the dialogue, which is what are the eggs like? Why are we seeing a reproductive function out of a dragon minion? Because in theory, like that's not the way dragon minions work, right? The elder dragon or some mechanism of the elder dragon. And we see varying examples throughout the kind of the story and the lore, where this ability to corrupt may be I don't want to say delegated, but like maybe granted to other dragon minions to create more. But it's not like full bananas, like a zombie movie where every zombie creates more zombies and the growth is like exponential. We do see like where a Son of Svanir, is granted the ability to like create more Sons of Svanir and stuff like that. So, but none of that is via like any sort of reproduction. It's always by a corruption process, like some sort of, the Elder Dragon or a mini Elder Dragon, like endowing something with powers, or conversely, like turning it into another thing or whatever, right? So this is an odd thing, and I don't know that we get an answer to it. I don't recall if we do or not, so we'll push through the story and see. Maybe the only answers we get are Forgal's speculation.
This place was a death trap even before they built a giant bomb.
He's really racist against Skritt. Come on, Forgal. This is 2023, dude. You can't just say things like that. Like, you'll get canceled. People, like, say bad things about you. It's gonna be, all kinds of consequences. Terrible. Terrible, Forgal.
I'm glad to see you. Yes, the Skritt you rescued gave us the mental acuity to assemble a bomb. Our raid on the Centaur camp was also a success.
Vitakchak, you sound smarter. I hope that's not an insulting thing to say.
No. Skritt think better together. Communicate better when we're together. That's why rescuing Shikik scouts was important. We needed the numbers to make this plan work.
Vitakchak, the outlying scouts are under attack. The Queen is nearly here.
What? It's too soon. The bomb isn't primed. We'll have to set it off here, in the village. Evacuate all unnecessary Skritt.
We'll protect you while you ready the bomb. If we should fall, Skritt, I expect you to detonate that ordnance, no matter what.
You have my word. This is for the brothers and sisters they took from us. We will bury these destroyers today, no matter what the cost.
Oh, it just gets very dramatic very fast. So there we have reference to the thing I mentioned at the end of the level 40 story, which was that Skritt have this ability to, or I don't want to say ability, but this inherent quality where their intelligence increases the more of them are convening together, the more of them are in one place. They have some sort of shared intelligence. And so here, it's actually rolled into this story in order for them to execute this plan and protect their village. Or, well, they're going to end up destroying the village. But in order to defeat the Destroyer Queen, they need a certain degree of intelligence. So they need enough Skritt in this area. A little bit of a slow burn here, waiting on all the Skritt to show up.
Do some real damage.
Of course, it used to be that it was, they didn't die quite as fast. Like, Ranger pets used to not one-shot things, and it's a story intended for level 50 characters. So this would be slightly more compelling under those circumstances. But the power creep, even with this character, which is not like fully equipped, power creep very much still a real thing in Guild Wars 2. Kind of comes back to the question of, with the announcement of the new expansion design, so to speak, which I really think is just a marketing ploy, because it just looks like a whole bunch of Icebrew Saga to me. Like, we've seen it all before, so I don't nothing about it's new. But with this expansion plan that they announced in the most recent roadmap, and the fact that it very noticeably omits elite specs. If there's one positive thing about not having any more elite specs, or at least not in the foreseeable future, it would be that would, they are always the #1 source of power creep. They always have to be. Popped up right on top. So elite specs have to be better than the old things, just to judge, so players will get them and so forth. So then later everything else will be buffed to catch up. Right. Huge power creep. Without elite specs, probably wouldn't happen nearly to that degree. Alright, so we've defeated the Destroyer Queen, but she's not dead. She's sitting there kind of smoldering and being unhappy, and we hear that ticking. That is the bomb, which we don't see. I didn't notice the bomb down there, visually, but it's down there. So we should probably hightail it out of here before the bomb goes off, because I've been talking far too much, so it's just ticking. Are they going to leave these dudes in the kill zone? Do we have time to get these guys out of the kill zone? Probably not. Probably going to get ourselves blown up. And that's it. That's the level 50 story. It's very quick with Skritt. It is a little. It goes a bit longer with the Hylek. Hylek is kind of the longest of the three, but again, very fast compared to level 40 being a little bit longer, and then level 60 is when we start getting into much longer, or I don't know about much, but significantly longer instances.
My people, my friends, all dead. Once was chatter and happy stories. Now, just silence. Too much silence.
I'm sorry, Fatokchak. Your people were brave. They died protecting their friends and family.
We killed the queen and all of her eggs. That's a victory. A hard one, but still a victory.
Fatokchak, we can't bring back your loved ones, but you can help us stop this from happening to others. The Vigil needs allies like you.
Destroyers hunted us below. We lost many. Ran here. Now, here they are. I see there can be no more running. My village will join your cause.
I underestimated these squeaking beasts. You were right, Crusader. No matter how small, every set of hands, or scrabbly claws, is important to our cause.
I guess old dogs can learn new tricks, eh, my friend?
Watch it, Pop, or I'll clip your tail. Let's get back to Almora and let her know what we've discovered. This was a job well done.
A job well done. And the most important thing, now Forgall is a little bit less racist. Right? He learned a valuable lesson. Alright, so like I said, that's it. That is the level 50 story. Remarkably quick, all things considered. So I'm not going necessarily to stop playing today because it was 20 some odd minutes. But that will wrap it up for the video. So next time we play Living World, or I'm sorry, not Living World. The next time we play the personal story and continue with our story playthrough, we'll go to level 60, and that's going to start out with us meeting General Almora again to find out what is next, because we've achieved our mission, right? As Vigil members, we were given a mission, and this was our mission. We completed it. So what comes next for us? Will she have a new assignment for us? And where's it going to take us in terms of the battle against the dragons, right? This was all about gaining an ally against the dragons. So what else can we do to confront that adversary and try to gain the upper hand? So we'll find out next time on the level 60 story playthrough. And I look forward to seeing you then.